Zion, coming from mountains up one rampart. Coming very slow and very steep, Zion.
At Twaweza, we often see the world in two parts. On the right-hand side, we have officialdom. This is the world of development, the world of NGOs, government, donors, projects. And in the last 50 years, we've had a lot of that in East Africa. We've had all kinds of schools built, health centers now. If you go across the villages, you see some very nice buildings, you see roads, you see all kinds of policies and reforms happening. There's no shortage of activity. And particularly in Dar es Salaam or Nairobi or Kampala, there's incredible amounts of meetings and seminars and policy papers and workshops and laws and further reviews. But if you ask yourselves, what does this look like? If you're a 19-year-old young man in a slum, what do these things mean from the bottom up? And when you ask that question, suddenly this huge amount of activity begins to look different. We have seen, for example, lots of health centers. They look very nice. They've been renovated. They're often the nicest buildings around. But you try to go there at 12 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, and you find there's no care. You find there's no service providers who can attend to you. Or you go there and somebody will look at you, but you'll have to go and buy the medicine somewhere else, which if you don't have the money to pay for it, tough on you. So you have a hollow shell of progress, a veneer of progress that at first glance gives you a sense that things are working well. But if you go just one more level, and if you talk to people and if you listen to them, you get a sense that it's pretense. Because up here, progress is about papers and documents and filling in log frames and showing progress and indicators. And there's a whole industry here. And we know at one level that it doesn't work, but we don't quite know what to do with it. So we just keep on doing more of the same. We say, let's have one more review. Let's get in another consultant, as if that will improve things. And at the end of the day, life has to go on, jobs have to be filled, money has to be spent, reports get written. And then you could ask yourself, well, why do people then bother with this? If this doesn't work, why do we continue? Well, we do that in part because that's how things are organized and that's what we're used to, and we just keep doing that. There are very well-meaning people here. It's just that we don't know what else to do. There's a kind of deep failure of the imagination. And for many others, the reason we keep doing is there's a lot of money here. In a place like Tanzania, 40–50% of the budget of the country comes from development. So then what it ends up becoming over time is a way of grabbing what we can. And it makes sense, because if you don't believe that this is going to change anything, if you don't believe that this is going to transform anything, why then would you spend 3 days of your time or 5 days of your time in a boring workshop? In contrast, the left-hand side is about real life. It's about what happens day to day. And what we find throughout East Africa is an incredible level of vibrancy. Stuff happens. It's not great. Always, there are many difficulties. There are problems and challenges. There's many times you try to do things and you get beaten over the head. So by no means is it perfect, but there is a certain energy on this side that is very, very different from what we have here. Because here, things happen. You see stories of how, despite constraints, people are trying to get their farms to work. Despite having roadblocks, they go around and sell their crops. A certain level of ingenuity, a certain trying to figure out things. This side is about giving excuses. This side is about saying, I couldn't do this because of this and that. This side is about waiting for someone else to solve your problem for you. Or this side is about writing a document to take to a donor or taking to a government and say, please help us because we are helpless. In contrast, this side is not about waiting for anybody to come and help you. On the left-hand side, what people do is figure things out.
Yo, tusimame, kama la Mungu tumuombe.